complex mortgage world, finding the right direction can be challenging. That's where Lighthouse Advisors comes in. With over 25 years of experience, we provide fractional leadership and executive oversight, guiding companies through transitions, growth, and innovation. From IMBs to brokers to credit unions to tech firms, our team of seasoned professionals is here to shine a light on solutions, ensuring your business thrives in every environment. At Lighthouse Advisors, we don't just guide, we empower. Together, let's create a ripple of success across the industry. Email us today at laura@lighthouseadvisors.com.
Welcome to Illuminating Solutions, the podcast where we shine a light on the challenges and opportunities facing the mortgage industry today. And we offer real solutions to help you grow and thrive. I'm your host, Laura Brandeo, CEO of Lighthouse Advisors. So if you're ready to shine a light on what's holding you back and discover new ways to move forward, you've come to the right place. Today, we are joined by the amazing Tobi Libbra. She is our fraud investigator and cybersecurity expert at Lighthouse Advisors. She is going to share why we all need to have our preventative plan in place before we need to call her. Tobi, thank you so much for joining us. And I love this discussion, right? So many times this is not a discussion that you hear about until after a problem has risen. So I'm so happy that we're going to be discussing on the things that we can do now before, and hopefully we never have to have those conversations after we have an incident. So let's dive in to a conversation and get to know a little bit more of your thought process and what we can offer to everyone listening today. So to kick us off, so with over 20 years of experience in real estate and finance in cyber risk management, what are the biggest cyber threats that you see impacting the real estate and finance industry? And how can companies better protect themselves against some of these risks?
Absolutely. People. The answer simply is our people, but not at their fault. This is leadership fault that this falls down on, because if we do not train them and we keep that training continuously going, this is, like you said in the very beginning, this is a subject that is heavy. Nobody wants to discuss it if they're not a nerd like me, and they forget it. We have one annual awareness training a year for our people, and it's gone and forgotten, especially with the way our market has fluctuated and the absolute chaos that has been 2024 in the mortgage industry. That's the least of anyone's worries. It was production. It was keeping people on board. It was saving jobs. It was all of the things that are super important. So what does that create? It creates the perfect environment for hackers, right? Because they know this is not where our focus is. This is not what we're thinking about. And it creates that perfect environment of tragedy, which is what they thrive on. Whether that is someone actually committing fraud internally or externally, or a simple data breach, it all boils down to people and not giving them the training that they need. And the simple mistakes are made, from picking up a USB and plugging it in to see who owns it and making sure you get it to the right person, because we are innately good and we want to do things like that, to opening the wrong email, being too scared to report it because you don't want to be the one that did it. And in the beginning stages of all of the cybersecurity talk, it was a fear-based leadership style among our companies. You know, if you're the one that causes it, you're fired. That is absolutely the opposite of where we train and teach to be, because the sooner things are reported, the sooner we get a hold of it, and the sooner it can be contained and remediated. So we've got to get rid of the fear culture, but we also got to train our people, because that is the number one avenue of where things go south.
That makes so much sense. And as you were speaking, I was thinking to myself that I've always heard that hackers look for 3-day weekends right before Christmas, right? During the holiday season,
Anytime
right?
that
Yeah.
we're gonna be a little not so involved.
Yeah. Yeah. When people are on vacation, right? Like a heavy vacation time or holiday time. And, it's sad. It's sad that that's what we have to deal with. But to your point, if we educate our teams, we have those conversations to your point about if you click the wrong, a phishing link or something like that, we have to educate everyone and have that communication. Many times in organizations that I've worked with, it's been, let me put it into our internal communication platform to say, this is a phishing link, don't click. Like this is an example, right? But we have to do that. We have to share that so that people go, ooh, I've seen that. Good thing that, I didn't click on it, or I now have awareness not to click on it, right? It shouldn't be stuff that we don't bubble up. We should really be sharing it and bringing that awareness.
In not feeling to be made to feel ignorant if you do it, before, you look for the typical things, grammar, spelling, really bright off red flags, right? Now, they're advanced. A lot of them are using AI to generate where they're directing it. So a Texas phishing email might have a y'all in it. And do you know what I'm saying? So it's gotten to where it's harder to pinpoint that this isn't quite right. So just advanced training on a continual basis. And I don't mean your people have to sit in a cybersecurity training for an hour every week. I'm talking about once a quarter. This is what we're seeing. These are the trends. This is what's happening. And just refresh that once a quarter. It really would be the cut into the bad guys' careers if we would focus on this as important as we do production.
Yeah, good point. Okay, next up, you specialize in both corporate fraud investigation and the cybersecurity. How do these two areas intersect, and who should organizations be aware of when it comes to preventing and detecting fraud?
Right. The intersection is going to sound quite simple, but we go back to prevention. Fraud is hard to commit if you have the right prevention in place. So that's really where the intersection happens. Now, things happen. We have stories of investigations where somebody came in as an employee and worked for 6 months gathering intel. That's hard to fight if it is that committed, and typically that's going to be much higher asseted companies, and they know what they're going after. But it happens. We're in hard economic times. It is tempting for internal employees to grab something that they think is hanging out there. We're in this perfect storm, right, of economic tragedy, political division, all of the things that are happening. And so you can't know everything about everyone you hire. So internal fraud is a hard thing, and it becomes leadership having to look within, right? Because if you hired them, did you make a character decision incorrectly? That's not the case. And a lot of these people are professionals at what they do. They work as hard at their career as we work at ours. And it is just their livelihood in how their mind works, just like our career is. Internal fraud with employees can be something as simple as financial hardships, and they see a way out. And we have to know how to secure our companies and our assets from what is happening in the world outside.
Wow. Scary stuff. Like as you're speaking of that, those are the things that, again, as we started this conversation, these are the things that so many times we kind of try to push down and we don't want to think about because we're like, that's not ever going to happen to us. But you don't know, and you have to be aware of that.
You're right. And listen, bad is bad and good is good, but not all bad guys were made bad. Some are just poor decision making in a tragic time in life, and we don't always know what's happening. So yes, we have our professionals, especially in the cyber world, that's just, they're just bad. But you may have an internal staff that it was desperation, and desperation can lead to really poor decision making. So you're dealing with two very different kinds of what can happen.
Absolutely. Okay. Next question. So your passion for finding truth and helping clients achieve their best outcomes is evident in the work that you do. So how do you balance the roles of educator, coach, and investigator to create lasting impact for both individuals and organizations? How do you kind of take all of those different things?
I try really hard, I suppose the easiest thing to say is, as an investigator, well, as my dear friend, confidant, coach, all of the things that you've been for me, we've talked a lot confidentially about the things that I do or see or have to be involved in. There's always a lesson in every one of them. And sometimes I don't see the lesson. I think sometimes you've showed me what the lesson is. Because your brain's in it, right? You can't see the forest.
You can never see.
Sometimes.
Correct.
And so what I try to do with every investigation, whether it is a serious, a murder case, down to a corporate fraud case, is find that lesson and figure out that it's not just about that incident. Because typically the lessons in all of our investigations can be used in so many aspects of life. How not to get here, what caused something to get there. And I really try to pull that into our educational pieces, to be more specific about the audience that maybe I'm teaching a class to. And so it's funny because people will say, how are you, 2 hours of the day, you're chasing a murder case. And then 1 hour of the day, I'm teaching cyber awareness. But when you realize that all of these things truly come down to a life experience and a pivotal moment that caused someone to make a decision, it's very easy then to pull that into an educational stance. And maybe at the end of the day, I think what we do as investigators is hope that someone else's tragedy, 9 times out of 10, will be the one preventative thing that someone else hears.
You hope so. You certainly hope so, right?
It would be 10 years from now. Maybe it happens tomorrow. You don't know. And you don't know your audience always when you're teaching a couple hundred people at a time, or doing a speaking engagement. But is there one person out there that heard that message? Yeah. So I guess that's what I really tried to bring the two worlds together, from investigation to education, is find the lesson in something we couldn't stop and hopefully prevent something else.
Absolutely. So, Tobi, thank you so much for sharing all of this. And where I want to leave us and our audience is, so why should they reach out to Lighthouse Advisors to have you come and consult for their company? What kind of things of, this is going on, this is happening, I need Tobi to come on in. So give us a few examples as to why they should be thinking about reaching out to us.
Absolutely. So, my worst case scenario, I don't want to come in when you have a problem. I'd hate to get that call, whether that's a cyber breach, a suspected fraud, a bad actor on your staff, whatever that is. I hate that call. We do it. It has to be done. My passion is teaching the prevention. So InfoSec policies and procedures. I preach this so much. I get sick of hearing myself say it, so I know y'all get sick of hearing me say it. But the policies and procedures, that is the very first step. That is the foundation of your house. That is it going to last? I'm in hurricane belt here in the middle of this. Is this going to last through the hurricane? That is the very first step. Let's review those policies and procedures. And if you don't have them, don't panic. We will create them, but I have to know. And we do extensive meetings with leadership and management down to staff to not disrupt your culture. You cannot come into a company that has never used a true PMP and say, these are 58 changes we're making by next week. Never going to happen. You're going to have mutiny and everybody's going to quit. So we devise a plan, and they're red, yellow, green. What needs done right now? What can be second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter plan? And what can wait because we're okay, but let's tweak it. So policies and procedures, by far the most important place to start. After that, awareness training, your annual vulnerability and penetration testing. Those three things right there are going to get a company so much back on track or on a good track. That is all we request.
Fabulous. So for everyone out there listening, if you need that, which we all do, please reach out to discovery@lighthouseadvisors.com and we will coordinate and get you with Tobi so she can come in and make sure that foundation is very strong to weather any storm. Tobi, thank you so much for sharing all of your insights, and we truly appreciate all the work that you do.
Thanks, Laura, so much.